So then what do you do with Roman Reigns at this point? Because, man, you've been doing this for, over 20 years. So in your mind, what do you do with Roman Reigns?
It is. I mean,
okay. If you really want him to get over higher than he is, which I think there is definitely a level higher than he is.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first, I think, and I mean, it seems like most people agree that they should have turned him heel by now, and then they'd be in a good place today. And they turned him back when it first seemed like a good idea. I still think a heel run will work. I think and it might work so well that they never turn him back. Now, this is what conflicts with that. Is you have this TV deal they're negotiating. You're wanting to position yourself not only financially on the books, but as a company that looks like, hey, we've got this 6'3", handsome, long-haired lead protagonist who the women swoon for and the kids love and buy merchandise for and idolize. And he's related to The Rock, and he's got this wrestling pedigree, and he's scandal-free for the most part. I mean, nothing big, no big mark on his record. Where a suitor who might pay crazy money to buy WWE would shy away from. They've got a good guy in that sense. He shows up for work. He's professional. He's a family man. It's like you can see Vince looking at all that, going, I gotta just grit my teeth through the guys who attend these shows and boo. Because there's so much about Roman that works for the larger purpose. Because I am not convinced that Vince's number one goal is to satisfy his fans. And I know that sounds weird to say it, but I think he's in a mode where the number one goal is to satisfy Wall Street, TV executives, and potential suitors who might overpay for the company, or I don't know, overpay, but who would pay huge money like UFC got. And I think that's on his mind so much he's losing sight of how much damage he's doing by continuing to push Roman in this circumstances where the optics are terrible. I mean, what do you think if you're a TV executive or a potential suitor to the company? You tune into the network and you watch your lead babyface getting rejected by your fan base. You start to think maybe this Vince McMahon doesn't know what he's doing, or maybe this fan base is hard to please and maybe we don't want to get in this business, or I don't know. So I get Vince's rationalization and determination, but I am concerned that it's going to backfire more than he is realizing if that core fan base that's propping up, that's making the TV deal possible, and that's filling these Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-view arenas with passionate fans, I think he's taking them for granted. And so to get Roman over, I think you have to take all of that into account. And I think once the fans feel they've been listened to, then, and I know WWE doesn't want to give up this kind of control to the fans, but I think once the fans feel they've been listened to, they'll be more open to something else with Roman. But I think a repackaging to some degree would really help. Changing the Shield gear, new entrance music, and part of it is on Roman and the people producing him to have him be a little more accessible, where he's connecting with the crowd a little more. It feels to me, and I think you can speak to this, Steve, like you can't have a wall up between you and the audience. And I feel like Roman sort of is walking into a workplace that he's prepared for it to be hostile, and I think the fans sense it and it feeds on it. And I think you have to break that cycle. But to me, you unleash that cycle by turning him heel and don't do anything that he can't come back from, but have him let loose. And I think the fans would respect Reigns if he didn't seem to be keeping it all in. And then they've got good babyface opponents for Reigns to face for a while and then reassess in a year and a half. So, I mean, that's the long and short of it, I guess, at this point. But I mean, it's not an easy puzzle to solve, but I think a heel turn is a gimme that it would be better at this point. And they've got plenty of babyfaces to fill those spots.
Yeah, and I can see what you're talking about from the corporate standpoint of, hey, man, it's my lead babyface. But, on the other side of that, like I said, well, he's not being accepted 100% by the audience. Back in the day, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, man, they need to turn Cena heel. Well, obviously, don't turn Cena heel. I mean, he's beloved by the kids. He does all the Make-A-Wish stuff. And, don't never turn him heel. With Roman, I said it a couple of years ago, and I still believe it to this day. For him to have the biggest run possible, and there's still work to be done on his end. It's not just, hey, turn him heel and it's going to work. You got to turn him heel, and then he has to perform and just let loose. Just like you just said. I mean, he just needs to Be aggressive. Just go out there. Hey, man, this is what you wanted. This is what you get. You know, motherfuckers are going to pay now, you know, as far as with respect to what happens in that ring. You know, what you asked for it, you got it. You know, and I don't need none of your damn support. You know, and that's just maybe a bad analogy or a bad, you know, the string. But, you know, when I start thinking about it, I get fired up. But it just needs to bring a mean streak, go through a total heel run. And, dude, it's just like The Rock. I mean, I don't care if they're related or not. It's just a very similar situation. You know, Rock came in, white meat baby. People just crapped all over him. He turned heel. People hated him. And then all of a sudden he, you know, turned up that charisma and that magic that he had and just became one of the most beloved over baby faces in the history of the business. Now, can Roman do that? I don't know, because that's yet to be seen. Does he have that type of potential? Does he have that ceiling that The Rock had? Right now, he's below that ceiling. So give him that heel run, and then, you know, however long that lasts, hey, if it's successful, keep running people through him, or him running through people, you know, as a heel. And then organically, when it's time to turn him. At the very least, I think it'd be, I don't know. I go back, someone just sent me a match from early 90s, somewhere in South Georgia. I was working a house show. It was myself, Rick Rude, and Brian Pillman against Sting, Ricky Steamboat, and Too Cold Scorpio. And God dang, somebody had this little camcorder in the crowd because it was a house show. And they did an excellent job of recording this match. And I walk over there and I'm talking shit to this guy. The guy's calling me a pussy. I mean, it was awesome. But when you can go out there and mess with those people and get them engaged and involved like that, and we were having so much fun, I always like working heel, turn into a monster baby. You know, I'm sure Roman likes being liked, but I think he'd make a great heel.
How's that working for him?
You know, I really think I think Roman would make a great heel, and then when it's time to turn him back, you turn him back. But I still believe the dude's got to have a total heel run, and I think he could pull it off. And it'd be interesting to see what happens from there. But, you know, Vince has the big picture. Vince has always figured out everything. The WWE Network's kicking ass. Just as a fan, you know, it's like, come on, dude. I like Roman Reigns. I barely know the kid, but I like him. And I want everybody to do good in the business of pro wrestling and have a great run. I think he will have his greatest run if he's, and I've been saying this for years, turn the son of a bitch heel, let him rock and roll, and then see what happens.
And that's exactly what I think even fans booing him are excited to see, is Reigns letting loose. Reigns just completely like connecting in a way that his current character can't and isn't allowed to. And it's not even a territory he's able to approach at this point. And what if that just unleashes in Reigns a connection with a crowd that then translates eventually to a babyface? I don't think he gets there without that step. I mean, I think the ceiling is a lot lower for him as a lead babyface if you don't let him have a run as a heel first.
And I think when you watch him as a baby, you know, I give him all the props in the world. He's a fine worker. He can do everything mechanically. When you have a volume knob and you can turn from 1 to 10, it seems like he can go from about 1 to 8 as a baby, you know, and then it stops. And then there's that kind of, maybe there's that invisible wall there, or whatever is that defense mechanism that kicks in, or I need to see him go 2 more notches to 10. I think as a heel, he can turn that knob all the way to 10, get off, go crazy, whatever it is to express himself, to truly express himself. Because if you look at some of my most, you know, good shit back in the day, I mean, you know, it's kicking ropes, pulling ropes, just facial, you know, just, dude, I'm on a 12. And to me, that's just part of making that connection with the crowd. And it started as a heel, then turned as a baby, and it took me all the way up to a level 14. So anyway, I'll get off these crazy numbers because I don't know if they make sense to everybody.
It does. It makes sense.
Dude, I'm totally, man. He just needs, I think he would be in his element. And, you know, it's really interesting because you know, I've had this conversation with so many guys in the business, and we'll come to a classic case, you know, a little bit further in the discussion, and we'll get off of this now so we can move on. But, dude, you've got to find some way to connect with that audience, and, you know, whether it's love, hate, this, that, or whatever, but you've got to be able to turn it all the way up at certain times. And let's go to the AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura match, because I really like this match.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot. And I was actually critical of some of the low blows that Shinsuke was hitting AJ with, because I thought, okay, if you do too many, it's going to become a cliche. And then if you do too many, it's also going to make AJ look dumb. And I still believe that to be true, depending on how they play this. So this was a no DQ match, correct?
Yes.
So, okay, Shinsuke comes with a low blow, but AJ returns fire. So good on AJ, right? Because if he's going to stoop to that level, AJ is as good of a man as he is, and as a straight shooter as he is, but he's going to give it back to you because he's a tough-ass competitor, right? And then, you know, all the stuff during the match, Shinsuke, his mannerisms as a heel are tremendous. You know, he has that flamboyant character. Very dismissive with the crowd, great body language. Just that one just big kick to the head of AJ. He just does some really good stuff as a heel. I like him way more as a heel than I do as a baby. And then the finish that everybody, and I'm going to put this out there and then you can respond, because I don't think you like the finish. I was talking about too many ball shots. Dude, when they did that double kick and they did a double down, I popped big. Because, you know, I don't know what the WWE Universe thought about it, but for this match, and I haven't seen Raw, and I haven't seen SmackDown, that finish I was okay with, because now I want to see where they're going from here. But I wasn't mad at the finish, because I thought it was a very physical match. It was a different paced match. It was a different kind of move set and sequence-wise, psychology-wise. So to me, I love the match, and I really enjoyed the finish because I want to see where they go.